AKs, MP5s, M249s, most guns in Rust, while good on their own, they become unstoppable with attachments. Well, at least some of them do. In this video, we will be covering everything you need to know about attachments and what guns to use them on. Subscribe, like, hype, comment, do it all. Thank you guys for 4K subs. Enjoy the video. I feel like over the past couple months on this channel, we've covered quite a lot of Rust tips and tricks. However, I've never fully delved into attachments. Of course, if you are a Rust veteran, you probably know most of these things. So this video is mainly for the newbies. However, you may learn a thing or two, even if you do think you know Rust inside and out. What do you guys think of the set? Is the nighttime vibes with the cool lighting good, or do we go back to daytime? Of course, if it wasn't daytime, you couldn't see my amazing signs. Wow, you should do that. Either way, thank you guys for 4K subs. I appreciate it a lot. But the first attachments that we are going to cover, we're going to be looking at the silencers. Now, the way I've set this up here, if we look inside the box, you will see every weapon that the certain attachment that we're looking at won't work with. So clearly, a silencer is not going to work on certain shotguns. Things like a crossbow, it's obvious. So basically, if you don't see the weapon of your choice in this box, that means that the attachment does work with it. Now, these two boxes here are empty, as all three of these are pretty much the same, so it's the exact same weapons that they work on. Starting off with the soda can silencer. This thing is found pretty much at the bottom of the tier 1 workbench, costing 405 scrap if you was to learn all the way down. If you want to make it, it is a super cheap 40 metal frags. However, here is one thing I will say about silencers in Rust. They're not very good. Let's take a look at these stats. For the worst one, the soda can silencer, we're looking at minus 30% damage and minus 35% velocity, so really not good to use. So let's put this on and reload our AK. As you can see here, there's also a health bar next to the attachment, meaning every time that you shoot, this thing is going to lose health. And there you go, we just shot 3 shots and we're already down that much. So to break it, let's see how many we need to do. There we go, so 12 shots from an AK and we obliterate the soda can silencer. Here we have 2 full health nakeds, please ignore the bullet in his head. And we're going to test just the damage. So without the silencer, we're one-tapping, even at full HP for a naked. Put this thing on, not one-tapping, so clearly you don't want to use this thing, it's not good. As for the oil filter silencer, I still wouldn't want to use it. The stats don't get much better, you're only getting 5% extra velocity compared to the soda can. The damage is still the same, and to make it you need a tier 2, 525 scrap and 10 high quality metal, which just is not worth it. So these 2 attachments here in the bin. And now we have the military silencer. You used to be able to make this on the tier 3, however now you can only get it from heavy scientist drops or elite crates. Now considering how rare this thing is, should we still use it? Now, as you can see here, the stats are still minus 25% for damage and velocity. Of course, yes, it is better, and maybe for a solo if you really want to be sneaky, but I just can't recommend it. It takes so much damage off your gun. As you can see, 50 damage without it, 35 with, 188 range without the silencer, and 141 range with it. So guys, it's not worth it. Let's move on to the Handmade. Now, the only weapon that the Handmade cannot go on is the revolver. This can go on every single weapon that has an attachment slot. Now, you don't need a blueprint to make this thing, you just need to be near a workbench level 1, and it costs 6 high qual. Now, you are losing some zoom by 0.5%, which is not much. But guys, this one is all personal preference. If you like it, you can use it. I may judge you, but you can use it. For some reason, I feel like this would be quite good with pump slug. So if we're going to rank this one, personally for me, I'm giving it a thumbs down, but yeah, personal preference. Moving on to the weapon flashlight. Once again, the only weapon it can't go on is the revolver. Let's quickly turn it nighttime here. Now, the old weapon flashlight, I'm not going to lie, used to be pretty good. However, with updates, it's not bad. Of course, you can use it, but it's very foggy. Nowhere near as clear as it used to be. Of course, better than nothing. We all know Rust Night is awful, but if you can afford it, I'm always gonna opt in for night vision goggles instead of the flashlight. It's just better. Of course, not everyone has access to tier 2 to get night vision, and the flashlight is only tier 1. However, you will need 435 scrap compared to the tier 2's 255 for night vision. To make it is only 3 high qual, so extremely cheap. Of course, if you're running tier 2 or tier 1 weapons, you might as well use it, go ahead, as the only thing for me that ever takes place of a flashlight would be the laser, and of course that is a tier 3 thing. So what are we giving the weapon flashlight? We'll give it an okay, it's pretty mid, used to be better, but definitely not bad. Here we have the Muzzle Brake. Now I will judge you if you use this. I'm slightly kidding. When I first played Rust, I did kind of use it as I thought it made the recoil easier, but this was when we had older recoil, so very different. Now, as you can see here, these are the weapons that it does not work on. Now, yes, the Muzzle Brake makes the recoil 50% easier, which is kind of crazy. However, it does kind of contradict itself with the minus 23% accuracy, the aim cone. So just for that, I wouldn't want to use it. And of course, the big one, minus 15% damage. Like, you don't want that. I feel like this is what all the scripters should use if they really can't learn the AK spray, because oh my god, it's so hard, isn't it, guys? But no, the spray in this game really isn't hard at all. If you're new to the game, crouch, and if you want to get better, stand, strafe, shoot. Don't script, it's stupid. Sorry, I went on a rant. For some reason, if you do want to use the Muzzle Brake, it is located in the middle of tier 2, costing 750 scrap from the top. And it also costs 8 high qual to make, which is slightly expensive for what it is. My overall rating for the Muzzle Brake, for me, yeah, thumbs down. I don't think it's good. If you're really new, maybe, but just learn any of the weapons spray from the get-go, as none of them are actually that hard. Okay, next up we got the Muzzle Boost. Now this is a good one. Once again, here are the weapons that it does not work with, and much like the Muzzle Brake, it is on tier 2 right next to it, costing yet again 750 scrap, costing 10 high qual to craft. Now, while you can use the Muzzle Boost on the majority of weapons, I would always opt in to use it on fully automatic guns. As you can see, guns like the Custom with a fire rate of 600, which is already crazy, you can give it even more fire rate. Now, of course, we are losing 10% accuracy. You can counteract this with things like the tactical gloves, which are really not that hard to get your hands on. As you can see, military issued tactical gloves provide protection as well as weapon stabilization, leading to higher accuracy when used. So these gloves, paired with things like the laser and maybe even the holo, will make the gun insane. But as you can see here, this Custom, this thing shreds. Obviously not as good as tier 3 guns at range, but close range, this thing absolutely demolishes. Now, of course, the Muzzle Boost itself does have durability, which I actually forgot to say about the Muzzle Brake, but this thing's so bad, we want it to break. Let's quickly test how many shots we can get of one Muzzle Boost from a Custom. Okay, that's actually crazy. So the Muzzle Boost has the exact same durability as the Custom. So yeah, this thing's beefy. And I was shooting with extended mag as well. So no real threat about this thing breaking on you all the time. Now, of course, we know the AK to be one of the best guns in the game. However, close range, an MP5 can outshine it, as the MP5 has 600 fire rate and the AK has 450. So slapping this on allows you to compete with the MP5 just a bit more, giving you 500 fire rate, and personally from using it, it's really good. So what are we giving the Muzzle Boost? This one's great, we're always using this. Here we have the extended mag, pretty self-explanatory, gives you more bullets. Here's all the weapons that it does not work on. Imagine an M249 having more than 100 bullets would be insane. The extended mag is a tier 2 workbench item all the way at the bottom here, costing 990 scrap. And if you want to craft it, it's 10 high qual. So using the AK as a test again, without it, we get 30 bullets. And with the extended mag, we are getting 38. No real reason not to have this on. Yes, it's a bit more high qual, but if you're running AK anyway, you should be fine. If you look at the stats, there's quite literally 0 negatives. It's just 25% magazine capacity. So of course, the extended mag is getting a thumbs up. Here we have the Holo Sight. If we was to get a community vote, I'm pretty sure this thing would be at the top. The only gun it doesn't work on is the revolver, which means yes, it does work on crossbows, which is so silly. Now, if you want to make the Holo Sight, you do need a tier 2 workbench, once again, all the way at the bottom, right next to the extended mag we just looked at, costing the exact same 990 scrap. However, to craft, this one is a little more expensive, 12 high qual and 1 tech crash. As for stats, we are getting 2x zoom, which strangely some people have said because of the 2x zoom, it makes the recoil a little harder, which I can see the logic, but it really doesn't, because if we actually look at the stats here, the accuracy has gone down. We're losing -1, but that is all made up for in the accuracy stat here, which is plus 10%. It's quite contradicting the way they display it. This accuracy just means aim cone pretty much the random bullets, which shouldn't be in the game. Anyway, as a YouTuber that talks about pay-to-win skins all the time, this one being one of them, I'm going to kill my whole brand here. The pay-to-win skins don't matter when you have a holo. It's just better. While everyone talks about glow-in-the-dark sights, well, yeah, the holo, of course, does that too. Not much more to really say about it, other than it's really, really good. Here we have the gas compressor, a personal favourite of mine. As you can see, we got 2 boxes here, as this thing doesn't work on a lot of stuff. So as you can see in my hotbar here, we have the SKS, the M39, and the semi-auto rifle. These are the 3 guns that the gas compressor is mainly for. Now, taking a glance at it, there is a lot of red. We have minus 20% fire rate and plus 10% recoil. However, the velocity is increased by 30%, which increases our range by a ton. I will show you in a minute. And we're getting an extra 20% damage, which is a lot. So as you can see here, we have the M39, 352 range and 50 damage. If we add the gas compressor on it, we are now getting 60 damage, 548 range, and of course we are losing the fire rate and the recoil. However, when it comes to guns like the M39, SAR and SKS, what is recoil? I'm spamming, the guns are laser. Recoil should not be even in the question here. Of course, the fire rate isn't as nice, but the fact that we're doing that much more damage, in my opinion, is busted. Now, you could use it on the P250. The extra damage is nice. However, the P250 is known for being, well, fast. And of course, with the gas comp, it is significantly slower. So it's kind of a 50-50 with the P2. However, the weapons you really don't want to use it with is any SMGs, like the Thompson. Here's the Thompson shooting normally, and here's the Thompson with the gas comp. So much slower, and this thing is kind of already a pea shooter. So please don't use it on the Thompson. You can't use it on the AK, so don't worry about that. And the P250 is 50-50. These 3 right here, I would say definitely worth using. Now, the gas compressor is right at the bottom of the tier 2 workbench, costing 1,050 scrap and 10 high qual to make. So what am I giving this attachment? I'd say it's definitely okay, but the fact that you just can't use it on so many weapons and you're kind of forced into the select 3 semi-auto guns, it's very situational, but it is one of my personal favorites. Moving on to one of the most unique attachments in the game, we have the targeting attachment. Surprisingly, here's all the weapons it doesn't work with. I don't know why it doesn't work with an MP5. This attachment doesn't change anything to do with the weapon. Now, the way the targeting attachment works, if you head into your keybinds here, you're going to look for ping. You can change this to whatever you want. So if we hold this down, you're going to get a selection wheel up here. So you can ping hostiles just with the tap of the bind. You can ping weapons on the floor, just like this. Now, the way these pings actually work, you can't just sort of select the ping and then press it on the ground. See, as you see, it just says hostile. So a weapon actually has to be there. There's no false pings. Now, I don't quite know why they give us the option, because let's say I wanted to use go to on this wood pile. It would just pop up node. Not much choice when it comes to the targeting, but it is quite cool that you don't have to bring up the wheel every time. Now, I can't say I've ever used this once in game. Maybe when it first came out, but other than that, never. If you do want to make this attachment, it is once again right at the bottom of the tier 2, next to the gas compressor, costing 1,050 scrap. To craft is 10 high core and 1 tech trash. Another unique attachment is the burst module. Now, this is the only different box. Everything in here you can use the burst module with. There's so many guns that can't use it, so it's definitely easier to fill the box up with ones that you can. Now, the burst module you cannot craft and you cannot learn. You can get this from elite crates or locked crates, or you can head to any recycler and recycle either the prototype to guarantee at least 1 burst module. There is a 20% chance that you can get 2 from 1 prototype. Oh my god, that took way too long to get 2. It's only a 20% chance, and it genuinely took so many prototypes, so don't bet on it. Of course, you can also recycle the LR and get the burst module, but please don't do that. If you use a safe zone recycler, it is a 80% chance that you're going to get a burst module, and you cannot get 2 if you use a safe zone one. Of course, weapons like the prototype, LR, and MP5 already come with the option to turn on burst mode. The burst module offers 30% fire rate, 35% accuracy, so really good for the aim cone, and minus 35% recoil. And of course you don't need to use it on the ELR, but having the burst mode on is really, really good. If you hit a triple, they're insta-dead. Pretty much the same with the MP5. Now, would I want to use it on any of these guns here? While it's definitely not bad, I'm not going to opt in for it, to be honest. You can't pair it with a gas compressor, so yeah, I'd rather a gas compressor on things like the SKS. So the burst module, I'm just going to give it an okay. It's not good, it's not bad. I'm only going to be using it on the guns that have it built in. We're moving on to some of the best attachments in the game now. We have the laser sight. You can use the laser sight on literally everything but the revolver. As for stats, you're getting a strange 49% accuracy. Of course, accuracy just means aim cone, so we're just reducing the amount of randomness in our spray. Also, don't forget to actually turn your laser on, otherwise you will not get the effects. It also means you have to be wary at night time, and if you just want to be a little bit more sneakier, because of course people can see this from a mile away. Now, here we have a bolty. If we're to zoom in here and literally just hold the mouse still, you can see there is a slight sway with the bolty. If we add the laser sight, turn it on, aim down, the sway is now so minimal, you would never want to use a bolty again without a laser sight. So anything with an 8x, definitely use the laser. If you want to get your hands on a laser, it is a tier 3 item. It's only the 3rd slot, costing you 60 scrap. And to craft it, it's 3 high qual and 1 tech trash, which is extremely cheap. So what we're giving the laser, a fat thumbs up. This is the best attachment in the game, in my opinion. Moving on to the 8x. Once again, it's just the revolver that you can't use this attachment on, which means yes, you can use it on a 4-shot crossbow. Of course, the main guns you want to be using it on are the snipers, the L9 and the bolty. There was once a time when this combo was pretty busted. It's still not bad, but not as good as it used to be. Now, of course, for the stats, it is a plus 50% on the recoil. However, if you're using this mainly on snipers, it doesn't matter. And like in the name, you're getting a 8x zoom. If you want to craft it, they're quite expensive. These things cost 50 high qual each, and they're at the bottom of the tier 3 workbench, costing 960 scrap. I'm going to give it a thumbs up just because it's great on snipers, but overall, yeah, I'm not going to use it on other guns. However, it's definitely not bad on an M39, especially in the deep sea. Last but not least, we have the variable zoom scope, the big brother to the 8x. This thing cannot be crafted, and you can only find it in elite crates, heavy scientists, or locked crates. Of course, cannot put it on a revolver, but you can put it on everything else. Would be quite funny on a revolver. Would look very similar to this monstrosity. Of course, best paired with snipers, much like the 8x. The difference is if you press the page up and page down buttons on your keyboard, of course you can rebind this. You can zoom in much more. I feel like this scope was made for roof campers. I'm rarely roaming with it. If I'm going to roam with a scope on a sniper, it's always going to be the 8x. Not much else we can really say about this one. It is good for the 2 weapons it's made for. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video and possibly learned something. Just remember guys, as another addition, it may not be classed as an attachment, but the tack gloves are really good. So try to pair them with all these weapons that you use. If you think there's anything I missed at all, please let me know. I respond to literally every single comment, as long as it's not something completely brain dead. Once again, if you guys can do what these lovely signs say, I would appreciate it so much. Once again, thank you for 4K. Let's see how quickly we can hit 5. Thanks for watching. Bye guys.